Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something I find absolutely fascinating, the actual, literal mechanics of getting smarter. Now, look, when you and I say we want to get smart, we're usually aiming at a few very specific, highly motivated goals, right? We want to learn useful skills, and honestly, ideally, skills that make us money. We want to become exceptional problem solvers, again, hopefully for money. We want to grasp difficult concepts so we can level up our lives. And yeah, let's be real, we also kind of want to respectfully flex on people in conversations. You know the vibe. Just enough knowledge to earn respect, but not so much that you completely alienate everyone else in the room. And here's the kicker. Achieving this is actually remarkably easy. Literally, even if you think your genetics are working against you, this is totally doable. But before we get to the how, we kind of have to look at the traditional path, which is, well, deeply frustrating. In most of the world, we're sold this very specific, rigid timeline. 12 years of primary school, 4 years of college, maybe 6 years of grad school. And the big promise is that at the end of this marathon, boom, you'll be smart. But the hilarious and honestly kind of sad reality of this traditional education grind is that a lot of the time, what you actually become is just unemployed. You spend all this time, all this money, and hey, on the bright side, when you go online to write a venting post on Reddit about how you can't land a job, you can do it using absolutely perfect English. So yeah, clearly just logging time in a classroom doesn't magically translate to the kind of practical, street-level smarts we're actually looking for.
So when traditional schooling fails us, where do we go? We naturally turn to the internet. And what do we find there? You find these incredibly vague, almost philosophical brain hacks. If you look up how to get smarter, you're inevitably told to eat blueberries because, they're brain food. You're told to drink black coffee, sleep more, take random IQ tests, and listen to Mozart. Listen, this advice is so generic that the only people who could actually follow it and just miraculously become geniuses are like Oprah and Socrates. It's basically a Facebook post copied from a WikiHow article. It sounds great on paper, but at some point you actually have to learn hard, tangible things. Eating a bowl of fruit doesn't just magically download quantum physics or car repair skills into your brain, right?
Okay, so what actually works? The fundamental, undeniable baseline for getting smarter, the real hack here, is simply reading. But the type of reading you choose matters entirely based on your goals. Fiction, for example, is fantastic. It trains you to read faster, it drastically improves your vocabulary, and frankly, if you read enough dialogue, it kind of makes you feel like you have friends. But for most of us focused on aggressive, practical learning, we go straight for nonfiction. Nonfiction is the absolute key to being able to casually drop interesting, highly specific knowledge into your everyday conversations. It literally arms you with facts. And honestly, having those facts brilliantly illustrates the social dynamic of sharing knowledge. Because having facts is one thing, but how you present them is literally everything. Let's say someone brings up human evolution. You could go the obnoxious route and say, well, actually, evolution is nonlinear and humans didn't evolve from chimpanzees. In real life, saying well, actually, makes you instantly unlikable. It just does. Instead, you change the approach. You make it conversational and humble. You say something like, crazy, right? I was actually reading the other day, and I always thought we evolved from them, but I guess we evolved side by side. It does the exact same thing, it teaches the other person, but it makes you sound approachable, respectful, and like you actually, touch grass. So how do we practically put this into motion? Step 1 is incredibly simple. Stop reading the exact same 5 self-help books everyone else is reading. You got to find a very specific topic you actually want to master. Let's just say it's cleaning. You just search for books about cleaning. And sure, these usually cost money, but perhaps your finger slips, you search the title, and you accidentally download an ebook file. Whoops, just like that, you have a highly specialized book in your hands. Now you can start pulling out incredibly interesting tidbits for conversation, but way more importantly, you can start actually learning the hard skill. But here's where we hit a wall if we're not careful. The crucial point to remember is this absolute rule of skill. Reading is only the first half of the equation. See, your brain is a ruthlessly efficient machine. If you read an entire book about tying a tie, but you never physically pick up a tie and practice the motions, your brain tags that information as entirely useless and just deletes it, tosses it right in the trash. No one has ever, in the history of the world, learned how to tie a tie just by watching someone else do it. You learn by watching it while actually tying it yourself. If you don't practice the skill, the information simply will not stick. No way around it. Now you might be wondering, do I need to read 10 books before I can even start? Not at all. The learning curve is surprisingly forgiving. You really only need about 20% of the baseline knowledge to unlock a massive 80% of the practical skill. By just practicing a little bit right after you acquire that initial slice of knowledge, you make disproportionate, massive progress early on. You don't need to be some master theorist. You really just need enough raw data to start moving your hands and doing the thing.
So what does this actually look like in practice? It builds into this incredibly foolproof three-step process. Step 1. You read the chapter in your new ebook about the optimal way to clean a bedroom. Step 2. You put the book down and you physically go clean a bedroom. It doesn't even have to be your own bedroom. Just find one and clean it using the exact techniques you literally just read about. Step 3. Because you tied a physical action to that newly acquired knowledge, that memory is locked in permanently. You've proven to your brain, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that this information has actual real-world utility.